Students, how are you? Let's start our social science class. So, as we have already studying chapter 3 of social science, and what is the name of the chapter? Climate. So, we are studying chapter 3 climate, and we have discussed some of the topics in this chapter. So, we will do a quick recap of all those topics which we have discussed in the earlier class. Now the topics which we have already discussed in earlier class are factors influencing climate of the place, and the first factor which we have discussed in earlier class was latitude, distance from the equator. So we will do a quick recap now. What is latitude? The distance of a place from the equator is called latitude. Now the factors influencing climate of the place, latitude, which is called distance from the equator. The place near the equator are hotter than the place far from the equator. So we have already studied this, that the places which are near to the equator are hotter than the places which are far away from the equator. And why it happens? Because of the sun rays. Because when the sun rays are falling directly on the equator, all those places which are near to the equator are hotter, and as the sun rays are falling in a slanting directions towards the places which are far away from the equator, that is the reason that those places are having cool weather as compared to the places which are there near to the equator. Now depending upon the heat zone received, depending upon the sun rays received on the earth, there are three climatic zones, or we can say we have three heat zones of the earth. What are they? First is frigid zone, second temperate zone, and third is torrid zone. So we have already discussed about the frigid zone, temperate zone, and torrid zone in the earlier video. That the torrid zone are the places which are the regions which are near to the equator, and that is why these places are very hot climate. They have very hot climate. The regions which are between the Tropic of Cancer, between the torrid zone and the frigid zone, on both sides of the hemisphere, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, they are called the temperate zone, and they are neither too hot nor too cold climate they are having. And the frigid zone, if we talk towards the northern hemisphere, the frigid zone lies between the Arctic Circle and the North Pole, and if we come towards the South Pole, the frigid zone is between the Antarctic Circle and the South Pole. So in this area very slanting sun rays are there, and that is why these regions are very cold. These regions are very cool in nature. So on the basis of heat zone of the earth, I am showing you in this slide. You can see that on the right hand side I have shown you the world map. On the world map, how these heat zones are being dividing the world, the countries of the world. That the first is the polar zone. These countries which come in the polar region, these are the countries which come in the polar region, and they have very cool climate. They have a very freezing point climate. Second is a temperate zone, where these are the countries of the world which come in temperate zone. Both the side, northern side and the southern side, there is a temperate zone, and these all countries come in temperate zone where there is neither too hot climate is there nor very cold climate is there. Now the torrid zone, 3 and 4th number, which is labeled as 3 and 4th number. These are the places which are near, these are the region of the world which are near to the equator, and that is the reason these countries are having hot climate. These countries are having hot climate. So today we will discuss which are the countries which lies in polar zone, which are the countries of the world which lies in temperate zone, and which are the countries which lies in the torrid zone or tropical zone. Now heat zone of the earth, the torrid zone. We will discuss about the torrid zone. As we have discussed that what is torrid zone, on both sides of the equator, the region lying between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn is called the torrid zone. This zone gets the direct sun rays all around the year, and has the climate is hot and humid. Now we will talk about what is humidity. We have already talked about this. Thus we will do a recap. The amount of moisture or water vapors in the air is called humidity. So what is humidity? The amount of moisture or water vapor present in the air is called humidity. Now the countries which are there in torrid zone, which lies in the torrid zone, are there are so many countries in the world which comes in torrid zone. Which are those countries? Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Taiwan, Burma, Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, Ghana, Madagascar, Chile, Brazil, Argentina and Mexico are some of these countries of the world which lies in torrid zone. Now we will talk about frigid zone. The region we have between the Arctic Circle and North Pole, or between the Antarctic Circle and South Pole, is called the frigid zone. It receives very slanting sun rays, and that is why the climate of this zone is very cold. Now, which are the countries which come in frigid zone? We have 8 countries which are coming in the frigid zone. 8 countries of the world. Which are they? The United States, Canada, Russia, Ireland, Sweden, Finland, Norway and Greenland, which is a part of Denmark. So these 8 countries of the world comes in the frigid zone, which are having very cold climate. Now we will talk about our last heat zone of the earth, which is the temperate zone. This region is neither hot nor very cold. It lies between the torrid zone and the frigid zone in both the hemisphere, the southern hemisphere and the northern hemisphere. Now, the countries which are coming in temperate zone there are the 4 annual season. In this zone, the 4 annual season which we have are there. Like we have spring, summer, autumn and winter occur in these areas. So these 4 seasons occur in these regions, in these countries where temperate zone is there. The northern temperate zone includes Europe, northern Asia, North and Central America, and the southern temperate zone includes southern Australia, southern South America and southern Africa. So these are the countries which are there in the temperate zone. And one of the most important thing, that in temperate zone all the 4 seasons are there in the year. Which are the 4 seasons which are there in the temperate zone, which every country have? There is spring also, there is summer also, autumn also and winter also in these countries which are having the temperate zone. Now, very interesting fact about the countries which are there on the equator, which lies on the equator. Some of the hottest countries are the wettest too. So these countries which are on the equator, which lies on the equator, as they are having very hot, they are having high heat, there is high rainfall also because of humidity. When there is high heat, high temperature, then the rainfall also occurs. So these countries are having very hot climate and wet climate. So there is every time whenever the temperature increases due to heat, there is rainfall. So it is having a hot and wet climate in this particular countries. And which are those countries which are there, which lies on the equator? We will study now. The countries which lies on the equator of the world are Ecuador, Colombia, Brazil, Gabon, Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, Kenya, Somalia, Maldives, Indonesia and Kiribati. These are the 12 countries countries of the world which lies on the equator, and that is why their climate is hot and wet. They have very hot climate and wet because when the temperature increases, there is rainfall and so the climate becomes wet. Now, as I have given you one home assignment, that where does India lies in the heat zone of the India? So have you searched? Yes. Have you find out in which heat zone India is lying? Let us study now. India lies in 2 heat zones. Where does India lies? India lies in 2 heat zones. And the Tropic of Cancer passes through central of India. So from the central of India, the Tropic of Cancer passes. You can see on the left hand side, this is a world map. Where is India? Towards the south of the Asia. There is India, and this India lies in two heat zones, which are the northern part lies in the temperate zone. So the northern part of India lies in the temperate zone, which is having nor very hot climate nor very cold climate, and the southern part of the India lies in tropical or torrid zone. So which is because of which this southern part of our country is having very hot climate. It is having very hot climate, and the northern part of our country is having not nor very cold climate nor very hot climate. Now today's topic, we will discuss about the second factor which influence the climate of a place, that is altitude. What is altitude? Altitude is the height of an area measured from the sea level. So what is altitude? Altitude is the height of an area measured from the sea level. So you can see the level, the sea level is down, and this is the height of the mountains or the height of a place. This height is called altitude. With the help of arrow, black color arrow, you can see this is the altitude. So what is the altitude? Altitude is the height of an area measured from the sea level. So this altitude also affects the climate of the place. How? We will study in the next slide. Now, do you know why people go hill station in summers? Anyone knows why it happens that we when in summers come, we want to go to some hill stations? Because here it is hot in northern place. So why we want to go to hilly stations in summers? Why? Yes, I know you will say, ma'am, that place there is very cool weather. So we want to enjoy in summers. We have hot here. So we go to mountain area or hill stations in summer. Yes, this is the reason. But why it happens? Why there is a climate change? There is a reason behind that. Let's study. The higher we go, the cooler it becomes. So the higher height, as we move towards the height, the climate, the weather, the temperature becomes cool. The cooler it becomes. It is because temperature falls with the height gain. So why it happens? Because when we go towards the height, the temperature falls. The temperature decreases, which make that place cool. This is cold in the high mountains because mountains are at high altitude. And why it is there on mountains? Because mountains are on height. They are on high altitude, and as they are on high altitude, the temperature decreases of that place, which makes the place cold. Which makes the place cold, and that is the reason we want to go in summers and hill stations, because at that time mountains are having cold climate and we want to enjoy that cold climate. So this, as we go towards the height, with the temperature decreases, and this affects the climate of any place. Now we will take two examples. Ludhiana and Shimla are at same distance from the equator. So if we talk about the latitude of these two places, Ludhiana and Shimla, both of them are on the same distance from the equator. You can see from the map, Shimla and Ludhiana are nearby on the same latitude, nearby on the same distance from the equator. So, but Ludhiana is hot place and Shimla is cool place. It is cold, but Shimla is cold while Ludhiana is hot in summers. Why it happens? When they are on the same distance from equator, why Ludhiana is hot in summers and Shimla is cold in summers? It is, yes, tell me. It is because of the height. It is because of the latitude. Because Shimla is located 2,150 meters above the sea level, whereas Ludhiana is only 250 meters above the sea level. You will be able to understand with the help of this diagram. You can see this figure, the mountains are there, and as we are going towards, with the help of this green arrow, I am showing the height. As we are moving towards the height, towards the areas which are having, which are placed on the height, which are placed on the high altitudes. When we are going towards the height, high altitude, you can see the degree of temperature is decreasing. If 100 meters height is there, altitude is there, the degree of temperature is 23.5 degree. If we are moving more above the sea level, the 2000 meters, if we are moving towards 2000 meters on the height, the temperature is decreasing and it is becoming 17 degree. And if we move more towards the height, about 3000 meters, then the temperature is 10.5 degrees Celsius, which means as we are moving towards the height, the temperature is decreasing, which makes that place cooler. And that is the reason that Shimla, where is Shimla? Shimla is 2100 meters above the sea level, which is making the temperature, the climate of Shimla cool in summers, while Ludhiana is only 250 meters above the sea level. So the height where the Ludhiana is, it is only 250 meters, which is above the sea level, which is making this place hot in summers. Now understood? As height increases above the sea level, temperature decreases, and that is the reason both Shimla and Ludhiana are on the same distance from the equator, but in summers Shimla become a cool place and Ludhiana becomes hot place, because Shimla is on height than Ludhiana. It is about 2100 meters above the sea level, and Ludhiana is only 250 meters above the sea level, which is making the difference in the climate. And that is the example which shows you that altitude affects the climate of a place. Now there is another factor which influence the climate of a place, that is winds. Winds also affect the climate of the place. How? Let's study. Winds affect the place, they blow too. So wherever the wind is blowing, that affects the climate of that place. How? Let's see. Winds coming from the hot areas increases the temperature of the place they blew to. So if you see, from wherever the winds are coming, if they are coming from the hot place, if the winds are coming from hot areas, then wherever they are blowing, they will make that place hotter. They will increase the temperature of that place and they will make that place hot. While the winds which are coming from cool areas, suppose the winds are coming from mountain areas, from the cool places, then wherever they will blow, nearby areas, they will make that area cool, because they will decrease the temperature of that area where they are blowing. So they are coming from, if they are coming from cool place, they are making, wherever they are blowing, they will make that place cool and they will decrease the temperature of that place. But if they are coming from hot areas, they are coming from hot places, then wherever they will blow, they will increase the temperature of that place and they will become that place hot. So like this, winds also influence the climate of the place. Now this with this example, with this map, I am just showing you which are the places which with the help of winds are affected and which are becoming very hot due to winds. You can see the temperature here, 30 degree temperature towards the west side. You can see towards the north side all the temperature are very low, and towards the south side the temperature are increasing. Why it happens? And towards the desert also, if you see in Rajasthan and Gujarat, the temperature is very high. Why it is there? Because the winds which are coming from desert area, you know, everyone knows the desert is hot. So desert area is hot. When the winds are coming from desert area, so it is making all the places from where it is blowing, it makes all those regions, all those states, all those cities hot. It increases the temperature of those places and it makes hot. And where if they are coming from mountain areas, if you can see from the northern mountains, upper side, north side of the country, the northern winds are coming, and when they are coming from north side, from the mountain area, they are cool because they are coming from north, from the mountains, and mountains are cool, having cold climate. So when they are coming from cool places, they make the nearby area from where they are blowing, they make that place cool. They decreases the temperature of that place and they make that place cool. So now it is understood to you how winds are influencing the climate of the place. If they are coming from desert area and where they are blowing, they make that place hot. And if they are coming from mountain areas, they will make the places where they are blowing cold, because they will decrease the temperature of that place. Now we have already discussed about the factors which are influencing the climate of the place. First factor we have discussed about latitudes. We have already discussed which are the countries of the world which comes in the three heat zones of the earth, which are the countries which come in torrid zone, which are the countries which come in temperate zone, which are the countries which come in frigid zone. We have already discussed that where is India lies in the heat zone, which type of climate does India have, and we have discussed about the factors which are influencing the climate, as the second factor which is altitude, how altitude is affecting the climate of the place, and the third factor wind we have discussed. So in the next class we will discuss about the other three factors which are influencing the climate of the place. For this time, just watch this video, make all the concepts clear. Whatever I have discussed today, just understand it, how these factors are affecting the climate of the place and in what aspect